Week 31 Overview From Republic to Empire. Last week we saw how 3 wars with one enemy began to change the Roman Republic. This week we'll see how one man ended it. Julius Caesar's bid for supreme power transformed Rome from a republic to an empire. The Rome that Julius Caesar took over was not the vibrant republic of its early days. The last years of the republic were times of trouble. Rome was blessed with unbroken victories abroad and cursed with unending troubles at home. Rome's internal troubles go back to the Second Punic War. In the Roman Republic, military service was a privilege and a duty of citizenship. Only men with sufficient land could join the legions. When Rome went to war, however, the legionnaires had to complete the campaign no matter how long it took. Hannibal ranged up and down Italy for 10 years, not counting the additional time it took for Scipio Africanus to defeat the Carthaginians after that. Such a long war meant a lot of small farmers came home to ruin. Many farms had been confiscated for failing to pay their taxes, and it only got worse. After the Second Punic War, Rome began a series of overseas military adventures. Under Roman law, lands that were confiscated were supposed to be divided up among the citizens. In theory, the land that was divided was supposed to go to plebeians as well as patricians. There were loopholes to the law, which the rich knew how to exploit, however. By various means, the patricians wound up with vast tracts of land. Senators didn't have to pay taxes, and they used slave labor to produce food more cheaply than the traditional Roman family ever could. In the end, the veterans and many other small farmers wound up suddenly poor on the streets of Rome. Tiberius and Caius Gracchus were 2 brothers who tried to solve this problem. They wound up provoking an insoluble constitutional crisis that ended in mass violence and their own assassination. After the Gracchi, Roman politics got more and more deadly. Mobs and murder became a matter of routine. Caius Gracchus died in 122 BC. 91 BC, the Social War broke out, the first of a dozen Roman civil wars over the next 60 years. The Roman Republic was designed for a tightly knit community of middle-class farmers. That form of government just wasn't built to rule the world. If you want to weave the different strands of learning together, it's hard to beat Julius Caesar. There's a month named after him, July. Well, that's fair. He gave us the calendar that we use. He's the general who finally conquered the indomitable Gauls, who had sacked Rome in 390 BC. His invasion of Britain in 55 BC brought that island out of the mists of legend into history. He even had a child with Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, the last of the pharaohs. Julius Caesar left his mark on more than just our calendar. Every English-speaking person has been affected by this man's life. If history means the study of what people have written down, then British history begins with Julius. Well, that's not to say that British culture began when Romans invaded the islands. The Celts may not have had an alphabet of their own, but they had a distinctive culture long before Rome took over. Celtic art is ornamental, flowing, complex. Unlike Greek and Roman classical artists, the Celts tended to avoid straight lines and symmetry and images from nature. It's basically sophisticated doodling. Children tend to enjoy copying Celtic designs. How would you like to see your child's idle scribbles grow into beautiful designs over time? It can happen if you teach them the basics of Celtic art. If your family has any roots in Scotland or Ireland, make an extra effort to show them how to do this. So many of the ancient Celtic designs they're likely to see appear in Christian contexts: stone crosses, carvings in churches, illuminated manuscripts of the Bible. That's because Rome conquered Gaul and Christianity took over Rome. With a little instruction and some encouragement, children can learn to imitate Celtic art, and with time and practice, they can produce some remarkably beautiful designs. But enough about the Celts. Our primary focus this week is still on Rome. Julius Caesar marked the functional end of the Roman Republic. Although he himself was never emperor, he set in motion the train of events that ended in empire. Things have been going downhill in Rome since the end of the last Punic War. Scipio Africanus, the hero of the Second Punic War, refused to destroy Carthage when he had the chance. He thought Rome needed an external enemy to stay strong. After Carthage was annihilated by his adopted grandson, Scipio Africanus the Younger, the elder Scipio's wisdom became more and more apparent. Part of the problem was that Rome's government was not designed to rule an empire. We say the word republic and think of something like the American system. That's a mistake. The Roman Republic was designed to handle a single city-state. It was more like a corporation. It didn't have America's unique concept of federalism built into it. When there were outside enemies, Rome's partisan personalities could unite to face it together. But without a strong enemy, Rome's leaders competed with one another for power in increasingly destructive ways. The primary path to power in the last days of the Republic were military expeditions. Success abroad brought tribute, captives, and glory back to Rome, where the general was acclaimed a hero. The success of one general drove others to seek their own glory through similar means. More riches flowed into Rome, but it didn't make Rome stronger. Instead, the Republic was divided by personal passion and ambition. I highly recommend you to read some brief biography of Julius Caesar aloud to your children. Famous Men of Rome has a great 10-page write-up on his life. Here's a thumbnail sketch of the man. When Julius Caesar was young, the Republic was already in such a state that he had to keep out of Rome to keep out of trouble. When things calmed down a bit, he became a champion of the poor plebeians, even though the family of the Caesars was very wealthy. He was appointed governor of Spain, and it was such a success that he was elected consul, Rome's highest office. At the age of about 40, he sought command of an army. He went to war with the Gaulish tribes in what is now France, Germany, and Britain. During the next 8 years, he allegedly took 800 cities, fought 3 million men, took 1 million prisoners, and brought immense quantities of treasure home to Rome. We know so much about his campaigns because Julius was a brilliant PR man as well as a general. He wrote up his exploits and sent them back to Rome to keep himself in the public eye. Collectively, these logs became the book that we call Caesar's Gallic Wars. He had a rival, though, Pompey the Great. Pompey was a hero in his own right. He had won great battles on land and at sea and had come back to a position of power in Rome. Once in power, he spent enormous amounts of money on theaters and amusements for the masses, who loved him for it. Caesar decided to beat him at his own game and started spending his own money to provide similar entertainments for the people. Pompey ordered Caesar to disband his army. He said, now that Caesar had conquered Gaul, there was no more need for it. Caesar said he would if Pompey would, for both men commanded large armies. Pompey got the Senate to pass a law declaring Caesar a public enemy. Caesar decided to march on Rome. When he came to the river Rubicon, which separated the territory of Gaul from that of Rome itself, he stopped. It was treason, under Roman law, to lead an army into Roman territory without the Senate's permission. A favorable omen led Caesar to cross the Rubicon, crying, "The die is cast." His armies took Rome, and Pompey fled. For months, Caesar ranged back and forth across Europe, hunting down Pompey's forces. He cleared his opponents out of Spain and Greece. Pompey was defeated and fled to Egypt, where he was murdered. Now, Caesar had to fight new armies raised by the Senate. He met and defeated them in what is Turkey today. Then he moved to Africa, where he met Cleopatra, and then on to Spain, returning at last in triumph to Rome. Caesar had no serious opponents left. He was welcomed by rich and poor alike. They made him dictator for life, which gave him nearly unlimited personal power. But there were those who feared he wanted more. They thought he wanted to be king, and they killed him for it. Julius Caesar was assassinated by a band of senators on the Ides of March, March 15th, in 49 B.C. Instead of saving the Roman Republic, Caesar's death pushed it back into civil war, which only ended when Caesar's great-nephew and adopted son and heir, Octavius, eliminated every rival to the throne. Octavius took the name Caesar Augustus and became Rome's first emperor. The Roman Republic was an amazing success. It lasted 450 years, more than twice as long as the United States has so far. But Rome's republican form of government was designed to govern a city-state, not the world. The virtues that had made the Republic strong enabled it to conquer the world, but victory changed Rome. The new empire was strong in a whole new way, but weak in new ways too. We'll see what happened to it in the weeks to come.